Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Spider Sound Off. This is Tom.
And this is Porter, still in Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah, so I drove back last night, and Porter is still down in Durham. We'll get into that game. Obviously, this is the kind of our episode of the season is now over. It was over for the men's team a week ago. It's over now for the women's team after the loss in Durham. So we'll talk about all of that. We may go back a little bit. So the last time we did our podcast, it was the Kenny Wood episode, and it was also kind of Selection Sunday, so we didn't really get to talk a lot about it. We had a little video with Coach Roussel, which was awesome. But anyway, we're going to take a little step back, talk about kind of the women's team and Selection Sunday, work our way through to our experience at Cameron Indoor. For my first time there. Porter, was that your first time there?
That was my first time there in that temple of basketball, and we'll talk about that for sure.
And so we'll talk about that, and then a little bit of our thoughts on next year, and I guess what the summer may hold for us as your favorite Spiders basketball podcast. But anyway, let's talk about Selection Sunday, Porter. I know we got, I guess, the team wasn't really ready to do a giant party for Selection Sunday because unlike like last year, I think it was kind of a given they were getting an at-large bid. 2 years ago, they won the tournament. This was very 50-50. So
very 50-50.
As media members, we got invited. So thank you for the school to inviting us to a selection show. But what was your experience like, Porter?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, we went in, it was the Spider Hall, which is the upper level of the Quealy Athletic Center there, and they had set out chairs behind where the team was going to sit. You have that ginormous TV on the wall it's like the size of a house, which was just a special place to watch it. We networked a little bit, talked to some of the folks that were there. That was kind of fun. They had food. They had a nice little food spread in the back. You and I had kind of just recorded with Kenny, and I had to swing by. I had a quick church meeting that I had to attend, and then we met up there right at the time of the show. Coach Roussel, to his credit, kind of came out and said, "Hey, folks, put your phones away. I don't want anybody breaking the news, good or bad, before we get it. So we want to all learn simultaneously." So we all put our phones in our pockets, turned them off. So we were watching with the team and probably about 40 to 50, close supporters of the team as the news broke. And it was legit chaos when I will say this, the screen. We were sitting behind the team. The screen kind of froze for a second, but the audio kept going. And I just heard Nebraska, Richmond, and everybody jumped up, except for me, and that's a different story. Everybody jumped up to celebrate, but I didn't see it. I heard it before I saw it. And
I'll tell you one thing. This is kind of criticism of the selection show is like, for the teams that are in that first four, there's not really a first four reveal. It is like, well, here's Baylor, and they're up against Richmond or Nebraska.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, that's a poor way to announce that, especially like if for some of the first four teams, like they're the last teams in. You would think you'd have some, even when you get. I mean, I like how they go bracket by bracket, but at some point when you get to like, well, this is our first bracket with the first four game. And and you show your own little bracket of the first four and be like, we've got Nebraska against Richmond. Like, it was just like a thrown in there. And so I don't know. I didn't notice the screen freezing, but it was just like you heard it before
you saw it.
Right. And it was, obviously
maybe that's what it was. And then everybody jumped up. So the screen froze for me because I saw the backs of the team. But I would say it was the second bracket they revealed we were in, and we knew we'd be on 11 or 12 line because we were going to be one of the last teams in if we made it. And so we were waiting for the 11s and the 12s largely. I don't think any of us saw us being at 8, 9, or 10. So we kind of were waiting in anticipation, and then you heard Richmond, and it was just chaos, which was great.
Yeah. So important question for you. Who has got better dance moves, Elaine Bennis from Seinfeld or Coach Roussel? Because that celebration was
a giant leg kick, and it was almost. I'm trying to think of the analogy. It was almost it was a triumphant, like, almost like a worldwide wrestling, celebration, just kinda like the arms came wide, the
Yeah.
leg came way high. It was like, stomp on your opponent kind of like an exalt he was just super excited, and
Yeah.
it was legit natural to see that excitement for him,
Yeah,
and
it was nice that I was in the second bracket, so it's one of those, like, just imagine if you don't hear your name and you're waiting for the 3rd or you're
and the
waiting for the
4th, yeah.
4th and you're
Oh, yeah.
you're like, "Is it gonna happen or not?" So
Well, I mean, let's
it was
talk for a
kinda
second.
early, which was nice.
And let's talk for a second. I mean, only time in the history of Richmond basketball we've had back-to-back at-larges. So what a credit to Roussel and staff and the senior leadership of this team. Just just a special achievement. And then this is the only Richmond basketball team in history to have 3 consecutive NCAA appearances. Right, 3 in a row. Again, these are unparalleled achievements in Richmond basketball, and that's the whole program. I mean, Rochelle has built a program that sustains success. We can talk about next year towards the end of the episode a little bit, but like it is a juggernaut of women's basketball, and everybody labels us a mid major, and we are a mid major. I acknowledge that. However, Gonzaga was a mid-major until they were not in men's basketball, right? Connecticut, probably was not considered a major in women's basketball until they hired Gino Auriemma. So I look at this as like this is just steps on a journey with a great staff, a great coach, a great program. So I'm just really really happy for what the ladies achieved this year, and that selection show for me was probably the highlight of doing this podcast, Tom. I mean, I'll be honest, we're not doing it for the money. Each of these podcasts is still brought to you by Porter and Tom.
Yeah, that's right.
But like just getting invited to that and seeing that moment, that made it worth it for me.
Yeah, and let's not forget, I mean, the coach said this, before the show started, like, the team somehow he kind of got probably the vote or the team captains to agree that they were going to do this. Like the players did not have to put themselves out there, and he kind
Right.
of they didn't know what was going to happen. There was probably just as big of a chance that we went through the 4 brackets and they didn't hear their name and they were there, in that state with the fans or some fans and a lot of media kind of right behind them. So credit to the team, kind of however that came about, where they decided like we want to be there, we want to be on that a show in a sense, and that could have been a sad one. Thankfully, it was a joyous one. I did notice afterwards some of the players kind of hitting the table that had like the brownies and cookies, so they deserve that
Oh yeah.
that reward after hearing
Oh yeah.
they were in the
Yeah,
show.
and you saw the assistant coaches, they scrambled immediately. They went to work, like, the second they heard that we won, they had a celebration hug from Coach Russell, and then the assistants were off to work, working
Yeah,
on a game plan, etcetera, so,
yeah, that's right. So,
but the cool thing
so
about it, Tom, for me too, is, like, it started the the process for us because like, I had kinda plans set up for the second half of the week. I canceled all of them. I'm like, "I'm going to Durham," right? Well, once we saw it was driving distance, I would have flown it too if it was we had to fly, but I was going to the first round game. And as Spider fans, we're not Duke in terms of like every year we're in the tournament. So when we make the tournament, it's a big deal, and it's worth traveling out to. And so I was excited. I canceled the second half of my week, and I made plans to drive to Durham right away.
how about just this? Maybe it's a little bit to next year, but it's like 3 in a row, and Allie is the only junior on the roster. So
Yeah.
she's her freshman, sophomore, junior year in the tournament.
Yeah, she's
There's
the
a lot.
only person in
Yeah,
program history who might make 4, and I don't think we're gonna make the NCAAs next year, folks. It's gonna be a very young team, but I mean, we could. I mean, put Rochelle together in the A10 tournament with any team, and it's a dangerous out, right? So,
yeah,
if Allie comes back, and I'm really hopeful she does, because what a legacy she's built for herself now at Richmond. Second team All A10, a chance next year to probably end up being a first team All A10 player. And, I mean, that probably puts Allie in the Hall of Fame. I mean, 3 NCAA appearances is unparalleled postseason success other than pretty much Rachel and Jada and Maggie. So like that in and of itself, plus you get 2 All A10, years. That's a Hall of Fame career all of a sudden.
yeah. And coach will say, I mean, a little bit kind of talking about this freshman class and what to expect. It's like Allie didn't play much her freshman year.
Yeah.
So, and look what, she had a great year last year, stepped it up again this year. So it's like
Yeah.
we've got a bunch of freshmen who actually got a lot of minutes this year,
Yeah.
some more than others. So there's a lot to come. We'll get to that in a bit. But anyway, so we went down to Durham. There was a nice pregame event at kind of a hotel they have right on campus that was walking distance from Cameron Indoor. So that was a great opportunity to kind of hang out with 100 Spider fans or
Yeah,
so.
there's about 100 folks there. I got a chance to meet Ryan Colton. He's in the he's one of the assistant athletic directors. His wife Brittany, talked to them for a little while. That was lovely. I thought that was a great representatives of Richmond. I met Dr. Halleck and his wife Tina. Tina's a listener, by the way, Tom. She mentioned she listened to our pod. She recognized us, which was great, and so thanked her for listening to the pod.
Yeah.
Met Jim Merritt down there. He was there.
Yep.
They put out a nice spread. It's a nice spread for people who make the trek or who are local. We had a contingent with us. We had R.C. Cola fly in from New York. We had D Hall and his wife drive down from Vienna. We had your good buddy,
my friends from
Dr.
who
Durham
live
and
in
his
Durham.
wife.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dr.
so
Durham.
we had a nice contingent show up.
Yeah.
The food was good. And they had a cash bar. I was working, so I didn't partake until about halftime of the game itself. So yeah,
He's
it was good. I thought they did a nice job. One of our listeners, Rogers, came over and talked to us a little bit, so that was fun. After the pregame, we bought tickets because we're supporting the women's basketball thing. So we bought tickets for ourselves, even though Tom and I also had media passes we could get in without paying. We bought tickets, and that was a good move.
Well,
so
we wanted to sit together. We didn't know what the crowd would be like
right?
either. So, right.
But I had to go over and get our media passes, or at least try to get both of them. I was able to get mine. I wasn't able to get yours, so I walked over a little bit early. Nice walk across to Cameron Indoor. It's there's a nice quad right outside of it where you've got the bookstore on one side, the football stadium, Cameron Indoor. It's a really nice setup they've got there at Duke. I have never been to Duke University. This is my first trip. So I really liked that. I did get lost looking for the media entrance, by the way. The signage was not quite as good as it was in Henrico, but I did eventually find it, got my pass. They gave me access to pretty much anywhere I wanted to go in the building. So my first time walking into Cameron Indoor was kind of through a side door, and then I walked onto the floor. And man, for a basketball fan, that was just a special moment. That is a temple for basketball fans. If you've never seen a game there, folks, I heavily recommend it. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, every seat's a good seat there. There's probably, I didn't count, but probably 100 different banners hanging up, which are kind of men's and women's, whether it's ACC titles.
There were a lot of banners.
Or NCAA appearances, and I think the men's team had 5 championship banners up there, which are the bigger ones. I will. Some of you who are our faithful listeners have heard me say this before. Like, you look how places like that do banners, and then you come to the Robins Center where they're like tucked away and hidden up against the wall, and you can't read them if you're on the other side of the stadium. Like, I wish before we did all the renovations, our banners like hung from the rafters. And we don't have many of them, but it still kind of looked when you could see them and you could read them. And
the ladies are stockpiling some banners, man.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of you put them up against the wall because you're worried someone might not be able to see. Like I want to get to the point where our fans can't see the court from their seat very well because there's too many banners in their face. Like,
right.
Well, let's get those banners where you can read them from any part of the stadium.
We're going to need more banners to do that too. So we got to. And it sounds like, I mean, on the spend side, we're going to be spending some money. So in the portal, so that I think will come our way.
Hey, a couple other things about Cameron experience. So we did get a review on the pretzel. I was told it was a 12 out of 10.
I had the pretzel. It was legit, dude. It was really, really good.
So
I got it without salt because I can't have my blood pressure spike. So I'm literally like,
is that because you're working, or that's because it's in general?
I don't know, man. Like, I get old and blood pressure starts to go up and you can't tell why. It's not like I've got a ton of stress, so I'm not sure.
When you walk around the concourse of Cameron Indoor, there's a lot of kind of history there. They try to tell the story And actually, I think intentionally, some of those photos from the history look older than they really are sometimes. The thing that reading some of those, I think this was at halftime. I was entertained to know, and for kind of old spiders like us, we remember the days of having to do class registration where you went up to a table and had to get in line to get into a class. There was one of the write-ups there was back in the day, there was the concourse at Cameron where all the students went to kind of register for class.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the some of the good old days and some of the craziness of getting to the front of the line and hearing oh, that class is full. And
Oh,
then it's
yeah.
oh, now what do I do?
You're
The
now what
kids
class
today
am I
don't
gonna
have to.
skip, right?
Yeah, they don't have to worry about any of that. But anyway, yeah, Cameron was awesome. We had nice seats. Every seat was good.
You guys
Um,
into amazing section. We were section 6, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
we
I
were up
will
on the
tell you, I think the attendance was 700 and something. So it's that's what U of R used to be
Yeah.
4 years ago.
I'd say Richmond probably had between 350 and 400 of the people there came down from
Yeah,
Richmond.
that's
So
right.
it was a nice crew traveled, and that's a credit to the program, right?
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but I think we had a local high school band with the Richmond T-shirts. They sounded great,
Yeah,
but
they sounded great, and
I did.
it
They
was a
sounded
huge
awesome.
band.
They had 4 or 5 tubas, but
They brought
it
the
didn't feel
noise.
they weren't playing songs that we're used to hearing at the
Right.
Robin Center
That's the
either.
only
So it was
downside. But it was a great
I'm not
band.
sure.
And so give credit
I'm
to
glad.
whoever paid for that on the Richmond side did a solid, because that was
Yeah,
nice.
I'm glad we had it. But anyway, Nebraska. What's interesting?
Can I tell you one little
Yeah.
kind of complaining story here? So I get out on the floor, right, and I'm got my media pass. I'm standing underneath the basket, and our ladies are warming up next to me. And Nebraska has this inflatable mascot. I guess he's famous, Little Red, I think his name is. I'm not sure. But anyway, he literally is, probably about 8 feet tall, and the top half of it just jiggles back and forth when whatever. So
Yeah,
I
it's one
swear
of those inflatable things, right?
the thing comes over and does like an Ace Ventura to me in a way. It's just right in my face, just wagging because I had my Richmond gear on and my media. So it's kind of annoying me, right? It's right next to me and it's bebopping. So I'm like, whatever. So I went back, found our seats. During the first free throws, that mascot was right behind the basket and making all sorts of back and forth movement. And I'm like, you can't put a mascot directly behind the girl's basket on her free throws. I mean, you can move it off to the side, but right behind the basket, to me, that felt a little bit egregious. And
Yeah.
I don't
And
know,
I think
didn't
it's
love it.
Lil Red. That's
Lil Red.
Lil, Lil Red.
Yeah, Lil Red.
Now,
And it's been voted the best inflatable mascot in America, by the way.
really,
So
that's funny.
it's
I didn't know
legit.
that.
But
So it's interesting to me. I mean, nothing you can do about it. But we're playing a team that has the same kind of red that we're red. So their fans, the whole place was red.
Oh, and we were in a section that was half and half. So we had half
Yeah.
Nebraska in front of us, Nebraska behind us, but Richmond was mixed into the section.
Yeah.
So it was
And their
kinda
chants are for Big Red. That's kind of their nickname. So it's
Yeah.
it wasn't every Spider could have worn red, but every Nebraska fan was wearing red too. So it wasn't you could tell exactly where the fans were until the yelling ensued.
And I'll say this too, their fans are pretty nice people. I mean, they have that Midwestern kind of easygoing nature. I found the people very pleasant around us. We were the ones probably making the most noise.
Well, they're also pleasant because they went 11 for 22 from 3-point land.
They opened up a can of whoop ass on us, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's right. We can talk a little bit about the game. I mean, I think first half, we had a great second quarter, and I remember we were talking at halftime. I think the second quarter we kind of mucked it up, and we got to the foul line. We were driving a lot. We kind of stopped shooting threes as much, and we defended well in that. And maybe they stopped doing what made them successful. So I think they got Nebraska got a halftime speech of go back to what you're good at. But halftime, we felt pretty good. We took a nice group photo of us all smiling and happy at halftime.
Oh, yeah, we felt like we were right back in that thing, didn't we?
We should have taken a photo after the third quarter. Woo. I think we went so from down 2 at half to down 16 5 minutes into the
we got
third
rolled
quarter,
in the
and
third.
we hadn't scored yet.
It felt a little like UCLA last year. By the way, can I just give a shout out? Britt Prince, number 23 for Nebraska. We've talked a lot about analytics on this show, and that the jump shot is fading in the game. Let me tell you what, Britt may single-handedly bring back the jump shot to college basketball. She is so quick off the dribble, and she has one of the prettiest rising jump shots in any direction, right or left, in motion, in the air, that she just drains it, and so what a player she is, and the other girl I'll give a shout out to is number 14, I think her name is it Kaylin Hike or Kaylin Hake? Callan Hake?
Yeah.
She was just ice water in her veins from 3 in that second half.
Yeah.
Roussel
Overall,
talked
4
to
for
her
5
after
for
the
the game.
what's that?
She was 4 for 5 for the game.
Yeah, Roussel talked to her after the game. He in the line, he stopped and
Yeah.
talked to her for probably 30 seconds to a minute, and I don't know what he said, but I'll have to ask him next time I see him, but she was a thorn in our side in that second half. They have a very good team, well coached. Here's the difference in the game. They hit their threes in the first half. We were I mean, we had open looks. I mean, we had some really good open looks. We just missed our threes. And when you're a team built around the three, if you miss your threes against the top, I think they were the top 30 in the net, you're gonna lose the game. We gotta play one of our best games to beat a team like that. Like we played at Rhode
Yeah, I
Island
mean,
at
I
home.
guess the part that I would, I mean, you're right. Like they shot 11 for 22 from 3 and we were 4 for 23. 11
That's
for
the difference.
22, we were 4
Those
for 20.
those 7
But
threes, that's 21 points.
like I would, it all came back to the start of that third quarter
Yep.
where we didn't score for 5 minutes. And I don't think it was like we needed to hit our threes. Like we needed to score.
Yeah.
And we were scoring from 2 in the second quarter. We went. I was kind of doing some doing some complicated math this morning. So we went 0 for 8 before we got our first basket in the third, and that was at about the 5-minute mark. And we went down from 2 at half to down 16. So they were making all of their shots.
Yep.
So I mean, I think they get more credit than our defense gets picked on. But obviously, our defense wasn't great in the third quarter because that team just kind of lit us up. And then we went 0 for 8, and I was looking at the data, and I don't think Rachel got a shot, and I think Maggie went 0 for 1. So
Right.
Nebraska's defense came out in the second half and kind of prevented them from really getting a lot of action in that first 5 minutes. And we tried to get everybody else involved. We missed some layups. We had some bad turnovers. It was just like a snowball
It
going
felt
downhill.
like the first time we played Rhode Island to me. They were on and we weren't. And the second time we played Rhode Island, of course, we won by 20 some points. So like it's the kind of thing where you just have to play. It's NCAA tournament basketball. You have to have one of your best games. You're going to play a top 30 or 40 team no matter what. Um, we just didn't have our best game, and it doesn't take anything away from the fact that this is a 3-time NCAA team that they back-to-back at large. I mean, to me, the magic of the moment was the trip itself, driving to Durham, hanging out with all of the people around the program before the game, getting to see Cameron Indoor as media. I mean, who would have thought we would be doing a media pass for an NCAA game in Cameron Indoor? That was just fantastic. And I mean, we got a chance to just enjoy this ride. I actually bought an NCAA shirt with Richmond's logo on it, so that'll be a little keepsake I get out of this whole thing. And we saw, and actually, quite frankly, we documented. I think we have over 30 hours of Spider sound off out there in the ethosphere now. We documented this journey of this special team, and I mean, that was a lot of fun, man. I mean, it was a great year. We didn't have to have an NCAA tournament game on either side at the end of the year when we did our predictions. I think, we thought the ladies could do it. Neither of us had the men in the NCAA tournament. I think I had them in the NIT and you had them like 17 wins. You were pretty close. I'll give you credit on that. I think I actually nailed the ladies record, by the way, at the end of the season. So like it was a great year to do our first year of the podcast, right? And why don't we spend a minute or two and just talk about kind of our go forward plans, just to kind of fill people in who listen to us about what we're thinking here and what we're
Yeah,
going to do
sure.
for the next
So
couple
we
months.
started this pod in July of last year. And so we haven't really experienced the March. And even in July, it was kind of, what did we talk about? Because there was only so much going on. We got to a practice, I think, later in July, maybe it was early August. But so we've got, 3.5 months until we get to that July timeframe. So I think we're going to, and some of this, we ask you to have some patience and, play it by ear. But we're going to try to get out there every couple of weeks with whether it's an interview. Obviously, over the next month is going to be these teams are getting formed based on the portal. So we'll definitely be back as news comes out on what the portal looks like, both retaining players and new players, because I think both teams are going to be very active. They have to be active in retaining and in bringing, especially on the men's side. We're going to bring in a lot of players, I suspect. But we also got freshmen coming in, so we'll talk more about the freshman classes. But yeah, I think as fans, I think when we do release, I think this is a lot of like we're thinking about. We haven't done it yet, but I think we'll kind of stick back to the Mondays, like when we were doing weekly in July and August. Like we went Mondays is kind of the main date, so I think we're going to kind of try to stick to let's getting Monday releases out, and I think we're going to try to do it every other week. We'll see if we always have enough to talk about. And we'd love your feedback on things that you want to hear about as
Yeah.
well.
I mean, I
I
feel like
know
we
on my list is kind of the freshman class, kind of getting to know them and the portal folks that come in is going to be a big part of what I'm hoping we can accomplish over the next
I mean,
6
I'll
weeks.
say this too, like, we had a lot of guests this year. Appreciate, first of all of our guests coming on. I think, um, we started off talking about the Sweet 16, or sorry, about the Syracuse win, the 35th anniversary of that. We ended kind of our last interview of this season with Kenny Wood from that team. That was a really special moment. We talked to Darian, we talked to Kendall. We had all kinds of the ladies on the team, both active and past members. We had Aiden Argerbright on the show, Coach Mooney, Coach Rochelle, all very supportive. So we appreciate everything they did to support the show. Jason and Keelan in our first season were fantastic, helping us out, getting access to people. We put a lot of energy and time and effort. Obviously, we're doing this just as a passion project. We don't have any external sponsors. Not to say we wouldn't want one. Breaking even wouldn't be a bad thing to do with this thing eventually. So if you
Yeah.
guys want to sponsor us, we're now in 30 different countries. I'd say we have about 200 plus active listeners each episode. So that's been kind of an exciting little progress we've seen on it. But I think we're also, we put a lot of energy into 2 a week, and so that you come out of this season a little bit tired, and you just need a little bit of a break. So I like the every other week goal.
I'm not tired.
No, you're not tired. I'm a little
But it's
tired.
more of, I mean, what made it easy twice a week was that there was games to talk about.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
so I think I think we'll look at the next few months until they start practicing again, and we can really get and look at the team. Is
Yep.
kind of, I think our focus is going to be on these new teams that are forming, and then maybe some interviews of some other stories from
Yeah,
former
we'll need more
players.
stories. I mean, I wish we were doing video back when we had Mike Scrocky, who was our first guest on Spider Sound Off,
Yeah,
because that was a great story. We broke it over 2 episodes. We had the ladies from last year's team, do Addie and Katie doing an
yep.
episode. I wish we were doing video then. Rachel came on before we were doing video. So, really appreciate everybody who was patient with us as we learned how to do this. And I think, over time, we've gotten a little bit better. I mean, I got the best sound guy in the business on the other side over there. So he's put together some wonderful, you don't really realize all the subtleness of the transitions between segments and the music and making sure the music fades at the right time. But when we were planning on a multi-win tournament, Tom actually is going to take a little trip here, and so I was going to be the sound guy for anything that we did past this game, and so
Yeah, it was going
I've
to be a
learned how
mess.
hard it is, and so I got even a more respect for what Tom does every day to get this.
You
This
know what's
episode
something?
ready.
Thinking about other things we can do this off season. Hopefully, we can have an interview with our first drafted WNBA player.
That would be special.
The
By the way,
I was just
I do believe she will get drafted. I think
So the draft is April 13th.
Okay.
So again, that's let's say second half of April. Maybe we can work that out. Either way, if she doesn't get, I mean, the WNBA is only so big. The draft is not the biggest thing. It's not there's not as many teams as the NBA, but we know she's going to be in camp somewhere.
Yeah. She'll get drafted.
Most folks have her as a second round pick. We'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
believe
there's some
she'll get drafted.
combine and other things that the players do before that to really kind of nail down that position. But all those camps start kind of April 19th, right after the draft. So hopefully we can get her. And heck, Rachel will probably find herself in a NBA camp as well, trying to be a 3-point specialist for somebody.
Absolutely. I mean, it's it's the most viewed episode I think we put out with Scott Unger's episode. If you haven't watched that one or listened to that one, I would heavily encourage you to go back and listen to that one, especially the second half. It's a story beyond basketball, and you realize what an inspiration that Scott and his wife are for their positivity in life. Heavily recommend you listen to that one. That's probably been the best episode I feel like I did, just because I feel like it was beyond just talking about spider hoops. And so yeah, that was a special one for me. How about you? What was your best episode?
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned it. I think my favorite was just Scrocky because that was both You're talking about the Kansas game and kind of the story of the basketball being
Oh,
kind of,
absolutely. That was a great one.
in a sense, taken by one of his
One of the
managers or
managers, yeah.
yeah, and kind of like that surprise. I always kind of picture in my head of when Scrocky asked for the ball and then didn't know that the guy snuck it out of
I love it.
Kansas and gave it to him. It's kind of
Love
my
it.
favorite story of the year.
That was a great story.
We've there will be things to talk about over the next month. Now, I know we put number one on the list when we hear that Coach Russell is coming back. Will be kind of the thing we're most looking forward to hearing.
Top 10 coach in America.
And then hopefully that happens. And then it gets into kind of the players. I think on the men's side, when we hear Argabright's coming back, I think we'll be very happy. On the women's side, it's getting Allie coming back. None of this is a given these days.
Need Alicia Newell back too. I mean, she played a wonderful bit of defense on 23 yesterday.
Yeah. But anyway, so we'll have plenty to talk about. And when there is big news, I think you should expect Porter and I will be talking on the phone and being like, "Is now the time?"
Yeah.
But if there's no news, we'll be back in a couple weeks to talk about kind of what we're hearing or what's out there, whether it's kind of concrete news or not. So we're not going away. And again, we're open to other ideas or folks you'd love to hear us interview, because there's a lot of great stories out there from
also would love to we'd love to invest a little bit of money in the Spider Sound Off studio, just to create like a backdrop that's consistent with the quality of the sound that we've been putting out, so I'm still working on my partner on that one.
Yes, I do. I'm on a nonprofit, and I do some of the calls. It's the Bluegrass Jam that's in May, and I do some of the calls, and I just hook up to the podcast equipment because it sounds better than my laptop. And they see all the Spider stuff behind me, and they're like, and they don't even know I'm on a podcast. I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so look forward to the next few months. Again, kind of reach out if you've got some ideas. We'd love to hear from you. But until next time,
make sure you like and subscribe too. And this is Porter.
And this is Spiders Sounding Off.
See ya.